Welcome back to Sports Cards and a Cup of Joe. This is your host, Joe Davis, and it is so great to be back with you. You know, there are so many incredible things happening in our industry, in our great hobby right now, and there's so many things I could talk about today. I could talk about products going through the roof and stores selling out in minutes and websites selling out in minutes, and honestly, there's been a lot of drama, a lot of negative drama around that, but that's not the stuff I want to dwell on today, because as a retailer, I don't get a lot of those products. I don't get enough quantity anyway. A lot of those products we could talk about, we're sold out of in minutes sometimes when they come in our store. Yesterday we got in Topps Chrome Black Baseball, and the first customer bought everything we had. So I'm going to focus on something fun today. Hopefully it'll be fun for you, and hopefully it'll be educational. You know, I don't often dive into talking about what I'm personally buying, but that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to talk about literally what I've been spending my money on, things that I've been buying, both for fun, some for investment, hopefully a long-term play on some of them. And this episode is not about Joe, the investment guru. That's not at all what this is about. Many of you I'm good friends with, and many more of you I hope I will be in the future. But I just want to show you that there is no magic formula for the right stuff to buy. You can enjoy what you buy in this hobby, and it can still be profitable if you make wise decisions, if you grade wisely, and I'm going to talk about that. So this episode, I'm literally just going to share with you things I have been putting money into lately with the plan of buying these cards to grade them. Now, I'm not using any charts. I'm not using any data. I'm using my feel for the industry, my feel for what's going on, trends that I see happening, which I guess some of that I'll learn from data that I'll look at. But this is from going to shows. It's from talking to clients in the store. It's from talking to clients at shows. And most of all, it's probably more based around guys that I love to collect, cards that I believe in long term, that I think are safe plays based upon the athletes, based upon their performance on the court, on the field, on the diamond, etc. And also based upon which cards I'm strategically buying, because I think they might grade well, or they're just iconic, and even in a little bit lower grades, they'll still be more desirable once they're graded. And so if you're watching today and you're like, oh, Joe's going to talk about what he's buying, he's going to talk about kabooms or downtowns or uptowns or midtowns. That's a joke there, but I'm not talking about new shiny inserts, especially not ones that have only been out a few months, where they're not numbered and we don't even know what the print runs are yet. And there is so much speculation, because a lot of those inserts, I used those few just as a talking point, but there's a lot of really popular inserts out there. A lot of them are beautiful, they're attractive, very collectible, but a lot of them, especially when the product's only been out a few months or a few days or weeks, some of the prices I see on these things are shocking to me. And the reason I say that is I understand buying early kabooms of legendary Hall of Famers, of Kobe, LeBron, etc. The product's been out for years. The market's very established. You pretty much have a good feel for how many are out there and how limited they are. But the thing is, a lot of those print runs, regardless of manufacturer, a lot of print runs on popular inserts, when we're talking about unnumbered inserts, a lot of them have increased, and some have increased dramatically. And so I am always very leery of paying really strong prices as a collector / investor, meaning I buy something because I like it, but I'm also going to hold it for the long term. I'm always very leery of paying strong prices when there's not an established market on inserts. Now, it's different. If the card's numbered, you know how many are out there, you have a pretty good feel. But a lot of these things that are, this is the hottest new thing, It's the insert of the week, it's the chase card of the week, and meaning that it seems like every week or every month, this one's trending, and now this one's in demand, and now these are hot. Just please be careful about that. Remember, I've been around forever in this industry. I remember the early 90s and the chase back then, 1992 Fleer rookie sensations, Frank Thomas. They only came in the solo packs, and they were the rage, and everyone wanted them. And then there were the team leaders. There was the team leaders. Now, if you bought Jordan, you did just fine, but there were team leaders in other sports, and they were the rage for a while, and everybody had to have the team leader inserts because they were so scarce, right? There's plenty of those still around. So I am always leery of inserts when there is no announced print run and there's not even statistical data to know how often they're going to land, things like that. So be careful out there, because in some of these new releases, there is a staggering amount of retail product. There's a lot of hobby product on some products. I mean, flagship tops, things like that. So just be careful, because I don't want to see any of you get burned because you got caught up in the hype, especially on the rookies, the young stars who are not really established yet. Please don't get burned. We can all go back in time, not that many years ago, and now we're not even talking inserts, but remember 2019, 2020 basketball? It was the greatest rookie crop since 03-04, right? It was Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, and they were going to change the landscape of basketball, and they were shoe-ins for future Hall of Famers, and they were going to both win MVPs and all that. And that crop in general, you can go down the line, so many other guys who were the next big guy from that crop. And I literally remember selling numerous Zion and Ja rookie card, Prism base card PSA 10s for $700 to $800 a piece. Every one I got back from grading, it was on eBay and it was sold, because there was no way I was going to sit on those. No way would I believe in those long term at those prices. And so this year, who have we got? Cooper Flagg and Con Canoopel. I love them both. I think they're both good character guys, great athletes, great scorers. I think they both are going to be stellar NBA players for years to come. But I'm not going to spend thousands on a brand new card of them, especially when they've only got one season under their belt. I might be missing out, but the safe play for me is maybe buying up some quantities of their cheaper cards, ones that you think will grade well, and I'm going to talk about that because I have done that, but just don't get burned. So when I talk about what I'm buying, I lead with some things I'm not buying. I'm not buying overhyped inserts. I'm not buying overhyped, really pricey cards of guys in any league who've not been established that long. I've seen too many rookies burn out after just a few years or after only one season sometimes. So I've lived it. I lived through the Brian Taylor hype in 1992 Topps when he was going to be the next Nolan Ryan, and his autograph card from the 92 Topps factory sets. They were the rage. It was $500 a set, and this was in 1992. So I've lived through decades and decades of overhyped rookies in every sport. So don't get burned. My word of advice to kick the show off. All right, you're like, okay, Joe, so what are you buying? Well, lately I have actively been buying and grading a very large quantity of some of the most iconic names in sports history, leading with none other than Michael Jordan. Just a few weeks ago, I was blessed to buy a huge collection of Jordan singles, over 3,000 Jordan cards, and we worked with this client. He had 4 Jordan rookies, which we took on consignment, and we've already sold a couple of those because they came back very quickly from PSA because of the value. And we have many other really high-end, key, iconic Jordan inserts that we also consign because of the value so that our client can maximize his return. But then I bought all the low-end Jordans. And, it's one thing for me to roll the dice on grading Jordan cards that you can pick up online for $2 or $3. And it's another thing for me to push my client on that because there's a lot of risk. You're going to grade cards that you can buy for $2 to $5, and I'm recommending somebody put $25 into it. That's kind of a tough sell. But for me, when it comes to the icons, I don't mind gambling a little bit because I figure, hey, if I screen them really well, as I try to do, I'm going to end up with hundreds of 9s and 10s. And worst case, I probably break even on the 9s, and the 10s I will do really well on. And some of those, quote, common Jordan singles from the early 90s, you would be shocked if you don't already know. Just look some of them up. Some of them are bringing hundreds of dollars in PSA 10. Yes, they're tough, but some of those, if you can buy pack fresh cards, as many of these were in this collection I bought, you give yourself a good shot at landing some PSA 10. So that's what I'm hoping for. Worst case, I'm going to have hundreds of PSA 8s and 9s because I have screened them all. And hopefully there's a handful of 10s in there. So I have spent a lot of money buying Jordan base cards lately and spending thousands more getting them graded. So it's still a process I'm working on. I've spent hours a day on those lately at home, at night, and early in the morning screening Michael Jordan cards. And I've even been watching some Bulls documentaries while I've done it, just for the fun of it. So leading with Michael Jordan, when I talk about the big three of NBA cards, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. So I've also sent in a number of Kobe's lately. I've also sent in a number of LeBrons lately. I still love, and I still think they're a great long-term play, and I've said this on videos for years, the 03-04 LeBron box sets. There's the one called the LeBron James box set. There's the Phenomenal Beginning set. There's the Freshman Season set. All of those were released in 03. The freshman season was like the very end because it was looking back on his rookie year. But all of those are affordable, quote, rookie cards. And some of them grade really well. There are some standout cards, like there's one of LeBron from draft night in the box set. That's the most sought after card in that set. There's one of LeBron and Kobe in the freshman season set together. That's a huge card now. So there are some bargains out there though, and I still believe those three players, those are the Mount Rushmore of modern basketball: Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. And LeBron happens to still be playing. Steph's right up there too, but LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, of course, card's a little bit older. And so I just still believe in those three as far as the long-term value of their cards, especially when you can buy cards with good eye appeal. Focus on, you can buy 10th year Kobe's, 10th year LeBron's, whatever. If the card has good eye appeal, maybe this wouldn't be a 10th year, but say an early Topps Chrome card on LeBron. Those graded still do really well. So I've been focused on a lot of the icons of basketball, but I don't just deal in NBA cards as a collector or as an investor. I've also been grading a lot of Ken Griffey Jr. cards, old inserts, numbered inserts, old elite cards. Griffey is so beloved. There are so many collectors who grew up in love with the '89 Upper Deck card. That card now has grown in stature so much, I don't care what the grade is. When I get them in a collection, we don't need to screen them. It's like, don't care if it's a 1, don't care if it's a 2, send it in. Somebody's going to want that card in any grade, the '89 Upper Deck Griffey. Now you've got to be more careful on the Fleer and the Donruss and the score traded and the tops traded. They're still sought after, but you don't want to be sending in cards that are going to grade lower than 9 on those. But the player, of course, we haven't talked about yet. When you're talking about icons, the future Hall of Famer, who is still astounding us all, and yes, he's still relatively early in his career, though for what he's already accomplished is just amazing. And I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani. And yes, I have still been buying, even though his cards, I think the aggregate value of Shohei's cards have grown 50, 60% in just the last few months, which is insane for a ball player. Normally, the off season is when everyone's cards go down, right? Regardless of the sport. Shohei did not do that. His cards continued to go up, 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 and away during the off season. So now that so many of his rookie cards are in the stratosphere, I have focused on buying cards, rookies still, but ones that are a little more affordable. I just bought up several hundred of his Leaf rookie cards, the 2018 Leaf cards. There's some beautiful poses in that set. They grade pretty well in general because it's a good card stock. So I bought a ton of affordable, if you can say that, affordable Ohtani rookies. I even bought a bunch of the Topps Now Ohtani cards with Ohtani and Babe Ruth together. I just think that is such a cool card, and so I've graded. Now those are not cheap anymore, but I think we bought 30 of those recently, and I think that's a great card. I look forward to those coming back from grading. Now, recently I did grade a number of original Babe Ruths. If you didn't see our social media post about that, we were blessed to work with a client who came in and he literally had 6, count them 6, 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruths. And I am eagerly waiting on those to come back from PSA because you just don't, I've never seen so many in a collection ever in my life. I've handled them before, but never had 6 come in the door in one day, as well as I think we graded about 150 cards from the 33 and 34 Gaudy set that he brought in, but the headliner, of course, was 6 Babe Ruths and a Lou Gehrig. So those I didn't buy. We're helping this client. We're going to sell those for him. So, but when you're talking about icons, and I already mentioned him when I was referring to Ohtani, had to mention those. So I wish I was out buying large quantities of those, but there's just not large quantities of those around anymore. So I'm going to go to my notes here because I've already forgotten my next talking point. So being very honest with you. All right, I'm getting back to hopefully future iconic players who are already the young superstars. I just talked about Cooper and Kahn. I love them both, but I'm not spending thousands on a single card right now. If I was, I'd probably get Cooper just because he's a little flashier, but Kahn I was amazed at his shooting this year, and I think they both have bright careers ahead of them. Cooper just won Rookie of the Year. Topps released a Topps Now card, really attractive. You know, sometimes, honestly, some of the Topps Now designs have been a little blah to me, but this one that just came out, lots of color, very splashy design, and so I bought hundreds of those. Cooper's Rookie of the Year card, and hoping there's an auto in one. Hopefully there's some numbered ones in the batch I bought, but I'll be grading a lot of those. And so I do believe in these young players. I'm just very careful about which cards I'm investing in or which cards I'm buying to grade. Now, there's a bigger picture in my strategy beyond sports, and I'll probably do a whole episode on this soon. I keep telling you I'm going to do this, but since I'm talking about what I'm buying, I will mention this. Many of you know I'm a huge Hanna-Barbera fan. I grew up on the Flintstones, grew up on Scooby-Doo, and I recently had a chance to buy a quantity of early Scooby-Doo stickers from Australia, nonetheless, because that's where they were produced. And so I spent a lot of money buying a bunch of old Scooby-Doo stickers, some of the earliest known licensed cards or stickers of of Scooby. And so if you didn't know, there's a Netflix series coming. They're going to bring the gang back together. Not the original characters, but there's going to be a new live action Scooby-Doo show. I think that's going to bring a lot of attention to that franchise, and so I'm buying those up while I can, while they're available. I continue to buy up Peanuts cards. I love Snoopy. I love Charlie Brown. I think a lot of their stuff is undervalued because they just haven't got the hype that some other Peanuts as a brand, as an intellectual property, hasn't got the attention that some others have. But I think there's still opportunities there. And even if there's not, I love them. I'm excited to say I just bought a PSA 9 Charlie Brown from the 1971 Italian issue. It's called Linus de Figurine. It's in my opinion, it's the true first cards of Peanuts characters in a large series, first that I've ever uncovered. It's over a 300 card set. There's more info on our Cartoon Cards website. But I was able to buy PSA 9 Charlie Brown card number 1. It's a Pop 2, last I checked. And I've wanted to put that one in my collection for a long time. I've graded a few of them and never gotten a 9, so I was really excited to acquire that. Also, everyone knows who collects modern cards, you know that Fanatics has gone to town making different types of Disney products. They just came out with Disney Neon, Disneyland. Of course, they do the Disney Chrome product. There's been many different releases of Disney products. With all the attention that Fanatics now gives to Disney products, I have gone back in time about 90 years, and I've been buying up quantities of some early 1930s era Mickey Mouse cards. They are really a bargain in my opinion, and there's certain ones I've been buying, and I've been buying those to grade because I think there's so much potential there when you're talking about the values that you can see on a lot of the modern Disney cards, and then you can go back and buy original stuff where the pop reports are ridiculously low because there aren't that many of them around in decent shape. So that's something I've still been accumulating, and I believe in those for the long term. And maybe I've got in my head to do a show, kind of an educational show on key non-sports first appearance cards, to talk about that. And if you like that, let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear more about that. But in a nutshell, here's some things I've been buying lately. You know, I've been buying Jordan cards to grade. I've been buying Kobe and LeBron and Ken Griffey Jr. and Shohei. And yes, I bought quantities of a new Cooper flag card. So I do buy brand new cards to grade. I try to be selective. And one word of advice, if you're thinking about whether you want to buy any of this stuff or things that you're chasing on your own, think about the gem rates. Think about how well does a particular issue grade. You know, you can get information on gemrate.com. You can get information on PSA's Pop Report. You can, enter a card and you can literally look at how many have been graded, how many 10s there are, how many 9s there are. You can do the percentages, and it gives you a very good feel on the front end before you buy them of what your expectation might be about what kind of percentage of high grades you might get. Now, beyond that, I highly recommend learning how to screen the cards, or using a service like ours, or someone else, if you have someone else you trust to help you examine your cards. Understand the service my company offers at GotBaseballCards. We screen out tens of thousands of cards for clients. You know what that means? That means they sent them to us willing to pay $25 or $30, all depending on how many cards they were sending in, like to PSA. And for a fraction of that, we told them, hey, we don't recommend this. Why? Because here's an issue with this card. This card's off center. This card's got a scratch on it. This card has a scratch on the back. This has a print defect. This card, the edge is a little chippy. whatever, 100 different things, maybe not 100, but a lot of different things that our team looks at. Our head of grading, Doug Giles, he spends hours and hours and hours staring at cards in a dark room with a bright light under magnification to help him pick out all these flaws to help clients. And we reject so many cards. I mean, sometimes we've had clients send in a large batch and we rejected every single card, which means basically we told them, we don't think any of these are worth putting grading dollars into. You know, I've been working on hundreds of not vintage, early 90s Jordan cards, and every time I screen them, there's the grade pile, the reject pile. And depending on which cards I'm looking at, the reject pile might be bigger than the approved pile because there are so many nuances and little things to be aware of, little flaws to look for. You know, print dots. I mean, the smallest little things that can negatively impact your grades when you send them in to any of the leading grading companies. So it goes beyond making wise choices about what you're buying. It's great to have a quantity of Jordan or Ohtani or Griffey or any of these characters, Scooby-Doo cards, Mickey Mouse cards, whatever. It's great to buy the cards anyway, but if you're going to make wise decisions about the grading, you've got to understand how to examine them, and don't rush the process. If you rush through and just send them, hey, I got them in, they look good, let me send them in, you can be throwing away tens of thousands of dollars over the course of time. Money that you could have been spending buying more cards or waiting on that next big opportunity. So I highly recommend taking your time, looking the cards over, or using a service like ours. All of that info is on GotBaseballCards.com. All of our grading info. We have numerous team members here to assist you with your grading and even with the resale of your cards if that's what you need. This is not a sales pitch episode. This is an educational episode because I want you to understand, I want you to have fun in the hobby. I want you to be able to buy players you like, guys you appreciate, guys or girls. Maybe you're buying up Caitlin Clark or Paige Beckers. You know, I did just buy a huge quantity of WNBA cases because I think Paige's rookie year products are still a bargain compared to the previous season. Caitlin's rookie products, of course, shot up quickly and they've stayed up there. Paige, the 25 WNBA Prism product, for instance, it's still a bargain compared to the previous season, and Paige had a phenomenal rookie year. So the point I'm trying to get to is whether you're buying LeBron James, whether you're buying Michael Jordan, whether you're buying players from the WNBA, whether you're buying cartoon cards, whatever you love, have fun with it. Buy who you like. Have fun grading them. If you choose to grade them, get help with us or with someone else if you need help with grading. But enjoy the process. Don't rush the process. You know, I've made some really bad decisions over the years when I rushed grading or I made decisions without really thinking them through. So have fun, make wise decisions, enjoy it. We are so blessed to be a part of this hobby. I love what I get to do every day. And whether you're sitting at home, whether you're running a shop, there are opportunities there. Take advantage of them. Remember, most importantly today, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, He loves you. He gave His life for you. And I am so thankful to Him for all His tremendous blessings in my life. And I think each and every one of you are awesome, and I'm thankful for you. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we will catch you next time.